Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today is episode number 4 of my mini series since I've had a little injury scare. And today we are touching base 5 days after, if I've done my days right, 5 days after the initial injury scare. And I'm just going to be talking how the last few days are gone, where I'm at, how I'm feeling, and what's been going on. Now, if you haven't listened to the previous 3 episodes before this, please go back, listen to those. It'll give you context on what's going on and how this episode all came about. So 5 days after the injury scare, 5 days after I was freaking out in my drive home from the gym, 5 days after where I was thinking, oh my gosh, all my hard work, all this dedication, all this stuff I've been aspiring to, throw it in the bin. It's done. 5 days after going through all of that, I'm feeling pretty good. In all honesty, today, Monday, I'm almost back to square one. I'm almost back to where I was 6 days ago. If you asked me 5 days ago after this injury, if I was going to feel like this, I would have been very, 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 very doubtful. If you said, hey, man, in 5 days, you're going to be pretty good. You're going to be pretty much back to normal. I would have been like, nah. I was trying to stay positive, but I was very doubtful. But here I am, feeling good, or mostly good. So over the last few days, I have been slowly ramping up some of my training and again, testing things out. I think on the 48-hour episode, I was talking about just testing out certain movements, testing out certain little bits and pieces, and just kind of seeing what the body liked, what it didn't. And that's what I've been sort of doing to more and more degrees over the last few days. Now, on Friday, I think, the other day I was talking about I was tossing up. Should I do a really, really high intensity interval session on a bike, or should I do a moderate intensity cardio one on an assault bike? In the end, but I got halfway through the day on Friday and I was knackered. I was fried. My energy was so low, and I was like, "There's no way in the world I'm going to do this high intensity workout." So I ended up doing some more work on the assault bike, which all went well. Then on Saturday, I was like, look, I'll have a nice sleep in. I'll wake up, I'll lie in bed, have a couple of coffees, slowly ramp into the day, and then I'm going to go do that intensity session, which I did. I went to the gym, put on a big, crazy playlist to get myself pumped up because not much fun session. Hopped on a stationary bike where I didn't have to worry about my upper body, and I went and did it, which was great. Went really, really well. I managed to work really hard. I managed to kind of like feel like, this is good. I'm pushing hard. I'm working hard. And this session, in all honesty, it's like the toughest session in my week. It's the one I dread, but it's the one I have to put the most energy into. But I got it done and it felt good. Now, tricky thing was I can't finish that session. And I can't remember how long I've been on the bike for, but I had that proper cardio high. I was like, boom, I did it. I smashed it. I was all over the world. I was feeling energetic. I was feeling good. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I've come so far in the last few days. I'm feeling great. So I finished it up and I was like, you know what? I got nothing to do this morning. I still got a few hours till I got to do anything. I've got a bit more energy. Maybe I'll just do a little bit more in the gym. So I stupidly, very, very stupidly, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some intervals with a slam ball. I haven't thrown a slam ball in like 5 years. Then I was like, you know what? A lot of equipment's taken. This is what I'm going to do. So I set myself up, got my interval time. I got a slam ball. And I did one throw and I was like, oh, actually, no, that was a stupid idea. I was like, that's probably the worst thing I could be doing with this shoulder blade being sore. And I did one. I was like, that was silly. I was like, nah, you're going to finish up here, Ron. You're going to go home and hopefully you haven't hurt yourself again. But all in all, survived that. And, it was a success. So next day, I was like, you know what? Okay, coming up the week ahead, I've got certain things I need to be doing in the gym. I've got certain movements, certain things that I'm going to be learning through and I'm going to have to do. And I was a little bit nervous about certain movements. I was like, I'm not sure how my neck's going to go. I'm not sure how my shoulder blade's going to go. I'm not sure how my arm's going to go. So Sunday, I was like, you know what? I'm going to test out some of the stuff that I need to be doing in the coming week. And I want to do this by myself in an environment where no one's around, no one's watching, no one's pressuring me. I can just kind of do it and see how we go. So the main thing I was kind of worried about was a bit of boxing. Like, as I said, I'm training for a bit of martial arts, had to throw a few punches. I was like, how's that going to go? So I went to the gym, got on the bag and did a practice, tried a few different moves, moved around, and just kind of felt my own limits and kind of felt like, okay, this felt good. Maybe I don't want to put too much power in that movement and this and that, just so I can really, really get a good, clear indication of how I was feeling. And all in all, it went well. I definitely discovered a few things. I was like, my arm still doesn't love that, but it's kind of feeling mostly okay, which was good. So it was really, really good positive mental boost, but also really, really good to help me lead into the week. So coming off the back of this, a couple of really, really, really important lessons, which I think are worthwhile sharing here, is when you are returning from a flare-up or a scare, discomfort, you're just worried or whatever it may be, go into your sessions with a plan and stick to that plan. So don't go in and just do random things or, just like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Come up with a plan before you go and say, okay, these are the 5 things I'm going to do. I'm going to see how they go. Or maybe this is the session I'm going to do and I'm going to stick to this because I know this will be comfortable or whatever it may be. Because in all honesty, once we get moving, once we get sort of like that workout high, we're not the greatest decision makers. And for me, doing that slam ball stuff, it was stupid. Retrospect, it was just the worst thing I could do in the moment. Luckily for me, it didn't set me back or anything, but I was a little bit concerned. So first of all, when you're returning from a flare-up, make a plan before you train and stick with it. And number 2 is if you're nervous about certain things, certain movements. So in the hiking context, this may be like, hey, I've just come back from spraining my ankle and I'm getting back into things. And I'm a little bit worried about going on some rougher terrain. Or I'm a little bit worried about pack carrying, or I'm worried about something. I would strongly encourage you to test this out in an environment where you are in control, where you're by yourself, or at least with someone who fully understands you're setting the pace, where you don't have peer pressure, you don't have people hassling you, you don't get distracted, but you can just test this out and see how it goes. If it goes well and you're like, okay, pack carrying was fine, boom, happy days. You can get that into your normal hiking. If it goes poorly, then you'll be like, you know what? I need to sort of restrict this for a week or 2 or whatever it may be. But if you are nervous about certain things, you're worrying about certain things, test it out in an environment that you can control. Very, very, very important. So with all that being said, I think this is probably going to be the last episode of this little mini-series. I think it's been a good run of 4 episodes. I think it's been quite interesting exploring this, and I hope it has been valuable for a lot of listeners. My best advice from the back of all of this is to bookmark these episodes and save them for a rainy day. So if you do happen to have a bit of a flare-up, if you go through something like this, if you have an injury scare or whatever, maybe listen to them again. Because I feel like just listening to this journey and getting some insights around how that all goes, just knowing you're not alone in this can go a long way. Now, in all honesty, not all injury scares are going to be like mine, where it clears in a few days and get back into normal training. Many will be worse. Many will be a bit more serious. Many will be a bit more extended, maybe need a trip to the physio or the physical therapist or whatever it may be. But I'll tell you right now, the amount of times I hear from hikers in the week of people who go through a similar thing and they freak out, they spiral and this and that, and all of a sudden, 2 days later, they're all good. It happens all the time. So I think this can be a valuable tool to use in that situation. So if you're going through a scare, please try your best to manage your emotions in one way or another. Get support where you can. Get your family members involved. Get your friends involved. Reach out to a professional, whatever it may be, and take things day by day by day. Give it that 48 hours of reserving judgment before you freak out. And during that time and during the time after, just think, what is something positive? What are proactive things I can do to help manage this discomfort, work me through, and what can I do to help me move forward in the ways I want to move forward while this is all going on? So seek out help where you can, pay attention, put your attention where you can, and I think it'll really, really serve you well. So with all that being said, thank you so much for listening. I really do hope you've enjoyed this journey of just getting a little bit of insight into what I've been going through. And I hope it has been valuable for a few people. But in all honesty, I really do hope you never have to listen to these episodes again. And I hope you can remain injury-free for a long, long, long time. So with all that being said, that'll be the end of this little mini-series. We'll be back to sort of regular broadcasting later on this week. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a lovely day and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.